Have you ever wondered why, even after cleaning so thoroughly, your home still feels suffocating? You put everything in its place, wipe down every surface, organize every drawer, yet you still let out a long sigh, as if something inside you remains unfreed. Many believe the reason lies in limited space, or in not having enough time to truly tidy things up. But that heaviness doesn't come from square footage, nor from the number of possessions. It comes from something more invisible: accumulation. Not just the accumulation of things, but of emotions, memories, regrets, pressure, expectations. We let the past, and even the worries that haven't yet arrived, seep into every corner of our homes. That's why you can clean the floor, but not the heaviness in your heart. The Japanese choose a different path. They don't begin with how many things to clean, but with the courage to let go. Lightness in a living space doesn't come from buying more storage boxes or arranging things more neatly. It comes from the bravery to release what no longer serves your peace. In today's video, you won't just hear about 5 items to remove, but about 5 emotional burdens the Japanese have learned not to bring into their homes. Because a tidy house doesn't make you feel lighter if inside you're still holding on to what you haven't yet released. If you're seeking a sense of clarity, simplicity, and ease within your own home, this journey is for you. And perhaps peace doesn't begin somewhere far away, but right here in the decision you make today. Enough, and it's time to let go. 1. The just-in-case items. Do you have an old jacket hanging in your closet because you think you might need it someday? A drawer full of charging cables you can't quite remember which devices they belong to, but you keep them anyway because it feels wasteful to throw them out. Or a box of craft materials from a hobby you no longer pursue, but still can't bring yourself to let go. Those items may seem small, but they carry a very common kind of burden, the burden of the future. They don't belong to the past, nor are they truly needed in the present. They're kept merely for a possibility that may never happen. The Japanese have a wordless courage for facing such things, the decisive act of cutting ties with what no longer serves life today. Holding on is not always being careful. Sometimes letting go at the right moment is the only way to feel light again. Because every just-in-case item is a quiet promise you've made to yourself. That broken blender doesn't just take up space in your kitchen, it takes up a small corner of your mind. Each time you see it, your brain whispers, "I need to fix that." Even if you do nothing, that voice stays, like a faint, endless hum that quietly drains your energy without you noticing. This isn't imagination. A study from UCLA's Center on Everyday Lives of Families found that people living in cluttered environments, especially women, have higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, throughout the day. Meaning, clutter doesn't just cloud your sight, it tangles your nervous system. That tension doesn't come from big things, but from living among too many small demands that constantly call for your attention when you no longer have the energy to respond. Another study at Princeton University used fMRI scans to observe how the brain reacts to clutter. The results showed that visual chaos consumes cognitive energy, significantly reducing focus. Every just-in-case item is, in truth, stealing a tiny portion of your mental energy, endlessly, relentlessly. Stockpiling for the future seems like preparation, but often it's anxiety in disguise. You're holding on for a version of yourself that may never arrive. The one who will wear that old jacket again, use that forgotten cable, or rekindle an old hobby you've quietly outgrown. And when someday finally comes, you often don't remember owning it, or you simply buy a new one that fits better. The question to ask is not, might I need this one day, but does this bring value to my life right now? That's the question the Japanese use to keep only what truly matters. If the answer is no, let it go, not out of waste, but because you deserve a space that breathes and a mind that can rest. You don't have to start big. Begin with a drawer, a box, an item you've even forgotten you owned. Each thing you release opens a bit of light, a deeper breath, a small step toward peace. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is believing that you will still be enough, even when you no longer hold on to everything. 2. Dead spaces. In a Japanese home, the first thing you may notice is not the furniture, but the emptiness. A space not filled with objects, not needing to explain its function, not demanding ornate decoration. Just emptiness. A silence of matter, yet a breath for the mind. The Japanese do not see emptiness as a lack. They see it as an essential part of beauty and life itself. The philosophy of Wabi-Sabi teaches them to appreciate what is unfinished and what is left unfilled. A blank wall is not an incomplete wall. It is a resting surface for the eyes, a white field for light to spread, an invitation to step into the present without being pulled away by unnecessary details. In modern psychology, this is called negative space. Space not meant for use, but for existence. These empty areas allow the brain to rest from constant processing. When the eyes are not overloaded, the mind begins to relax. A study from Princeton University found that in tidy, open environments, the brain's focus processing regions function far more efficiently. The less visual clutter we face, the greater our ability to concentrate, create, and stay calm. Yet, in modern consumer culture, we've been trained to fear emptiness. A bare wall makes us want to hang a picture. An empty shelf makes us feel the need to buy more books or decor. A quiet corner makes us want to fill it with furniture, even when unnecessary. And slowly the spaces meant for breathing become storage grounds for stagnant energy. Dead spaces are those parts of the home that serve no living purpose. They might be a living room kept closed, for important guests only. A small table always piled with unopened mail, bills, keys, and random items, or the space beneath the stairs, cluttered with things meant to be sorted later. These spaces are not lived with, not touched. They exist as heavy zones that pull your mind into the past or the future, but never allow you to stay in the present. The Japanese avoid such spaces not because of rigidity, but because they understand that energy can only flow when space can breathe. A simple example is the Genkan, the traditional entryway. It's not just a place to remove shoes, it's the threshold between the chaotic outer world and the peaceful inner one. A tidy Genkan is the first ritual of entering tranquility. If even the doorway is cluttered, then peace will wait outside. Every space deserves a role. If it isn't given one, it will be overtaken by randomness, filled unconsciously. And then, you'll end up with a home that appears full, yet leaves your mind feeling quietly empty, missing something you can't quite name. So, take a slow walk around your home. Look closely at every corner. Where is there no clear purpose? Which spot do you tend to avoid looking at? Perhaps it's the always messy table, the forgotten corner, or a bookshelf stuffed with things that no longer mean anything. Then, ask yourself again, what do I want this space to be for? You might decide to turn it into a simple reading nook, just a chair, a lamp, and a book in progress, or maybe a bare table with a single vase, so that each time you walk by, you smile. Emptiness, when cherished, is the deepest form of fullness. It doesn't need to be filled, it only needs to be present, like a patch of clear sky on a cloudy day. And perhaps what we need to learn is not how to fill every space, but how to let a few of them stay quiet, so that we can breathe deeper, think slower, and live lighter, right within our own home. 3. The trap of perfectionism. Many people believe that living minimally means being flawless. Every corner must be pristine, every shirt perfectly ironed, every item in its exact place. But the moment we try to make everything perfect, we lose the peace we were searching for. The Japanese don't see minimalism as a journey of eliminating mistakes, but as one of accepting them, because perfectionism is just another form of accumulation, the accumulation of expectations. You want everything to be just right, beautiful, complete, and then you find yourself exhausted on the very path meant to bring you simplicity. You tell yourself, when I have time, I'll clean the whole house. When I buy a new cabinet, I'll start organizing. But time keeps passing, the clutter remains, and you keep feeling guilty. Psychology calls this phenomenon maladaptive perfectionism. A study published in the Psychological Bulletin analyzed tens of thousands of people and found that those who constantly fear mistakes or judgment tend to procrastinate twice as much as others. They aren't lazy. They're simply afraid that if they can't do it perfectly from the start, it's not worth beginning at all. That fear paralyzes them. Every time they are about to act, the mind whispers, "Wait until everything is ready." And so, nothing ever begins. The Japanese take the opposite approach. They understand that a home doesn't have to be perfect to bring peace. The room can be a little messy, the dishes might not be washed yet, the rug may not have been vacuumed in time. As long as things can easily return to order when needed, that's enough. Peace doesn't live in permanence, but in the ability to restore. They don't seek perfection, they seek comfort. Wabi-Sabi and Kaizen are two philosophies that walk hand in hand in this spirit. Wabi-Sabi teaches us to honor the beauty of imperfection. A cracked vase is still beautiful, a faded wall still warm. Kaizen teaches us to improve little by little, not in haste, but with steadiness. When combined, they teach us to love what's incomplete and to nurture change patiently. Instead of waiting for the weekend to clean the entire house, the Japanese spend a few minutes each day adjusting a small corner, a drawer, a tabletop, a shelf. It doesn't have to be everything. It just has to be consistent. The Progress Principle study by Professor Teresa Amabile at Harvard University found that the strongest human motivation comes from a sense of small, continuous progress, not from major achievements. When you feel yourself moving forward, even slowly, you won't want to stop. So, let go of the goal of perfect and replace it with consistent. Begin with 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes to fold a pile of clothes, wipe down the sink, or reorganize a shelf. Not to clean the house, but to calm the mind. When actions are small enough, the fear of starting disappears. Remember, your home doesn't have to look like a showroom. A chipped plate can still hold a good meal. An old curtain can still catch the gentle light of morning. Imperfection doesn't diminish the value of life. It makes it more real, warmer, more alive. Each day, one small action. That's how you practice Kaizen. One action to remind yourself, I don't need to be perfect, I just need to keep moving. Because peace doesn't come when everything is finished, but when you can sit among what's still imperfect, take a deep breath and smile. 4. Objects without a history. When you step into a minimalist Japanese home, the first thing you notice is that nothing feels random. Every item seems to have its own soul, a reason to exist, a small story to tell. The Japanese believe that even inanimate things have Ikigai, their reason for being. If an object holds no meaning, brings no feeling, and serves no purpose in the present life, it has no place in the home. Yet, in modern life, we are surrounded by objects without Ikigai. Things bought simply because they were on sale, trendy, or because we wanted to fill an empty space somewhere inside. They enter our homes without greeting, then quietly occupy space, energy, and attention without us realizing. A lamp bought just because it was cheap, a painting hung up just to cover the wall, or a piece of clothing that never gets worn. These things carry no memory, evoke no emotion. They simply stand there, nameless and meaningless. The Japanese avoid this by slowing down in every choice. They don't buy for price, but for value. A pair of chopsticks, a cup, a table. Each is chosen with respect for both function and feeling. They would rather have less but be fulfilled than have much but feel empty. 3 well-worn shirts, cared for and loved, mean more than 10 bought in haste and forgotten in the closet. Because for them, a home is not for display, it is for living. Objects without history or connection slowly turn a living space into a storage of dead energy. We think we're only buying something small, but each soulless item is an invisible burden. It drains our mental energy, the kind we believe we only lose to work or worry. When our eyes constantly brush past meaningless things, our minds must still process them. The more things we own, the more tired we become, and the consequences go beyond the mind. The consumer industry, especially fast fashion, generates over 90 million tons of textile waste every year. To make just one cotton t-shirt takes more than 2,000 liters of water, enough for a person to drink for several years. We're piling waste onto the planet, and at the same time, piling clutter into our souls. Professor Thomas Gilovich of Cornell University found that people derive longer-lasting happiness from experiences than from possessions. Objects with stories are like miniature experiences. When you hold an old ceramic cup, once gifted on a special occasion, you're not just drinking water, you're touching a memory. In contrast, nameless objects, no matter how new, feel cold, because there is no thread of connection between you and them. Take a look around your home. How many things do you keep just because you feel bad throwing them away? How many have you bought but never used? How many no longer stir any emotion in you? Those are signs that your home is holding things that no longer live within your energy. The Japanese have a simple way to reflect on this: the Ikigai test for objects. Pick up each item and ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Does this object have a clear, irreplaceable function? 2. Does it evoke a warm feeling, a memory, or a small joy? 3. Can I imagine myself still cherishing and using it in the coming years? If the answer to all 3 is no, then perhaps that object has already fulfilled its purpose. You owe it nothing. Let it go, gently, with gratitude, without regret. Letting go of a soulless item is not a loss, but an act of love. You are returning space to what truly matters. Each remaining object becomes a quiet reminder. This is what makes me feel alive, connected, and myself. And when everything in your home has a soul, your house will no longer be a mere shelter. It will become a companion, quiet, warm, and full of stories. Because a home is not measured by how many things it contains, but by the depth of what you choose to keep. 5. The complexity in habits. There are days when you open your eyes and feel tired before doing anything at all. Just thinking about choosing clothes, preparing breakfast, checking messages, opening work apps is already enough to make your mind heavy. It's not because you're lazy, it's because you're living in an invisible maze, where every small step demands a decision. The Japanese minimalist understands that simplicity in daily actions leads to simplicity in the mind. They don't just simplify possessions, they simplify routines, apps, habits, everything that can disrupt focus and drain mental energy. Psychology calls this phenomenon decision fatigue. Researcher Roy Baumeister proved that each of us has a limited amount of mental energy each day, and every choice, no matter how small, consumes a part of that energy. From choosing what to wear, what to eat, which app to open, to which message to reply to first, all silently deplete your ability to focus. When that energy runs out, you start choosing randomly, choosing poorly, or choosing nothing at all, just scrolling aimlessly to escape. A recent digital behavior report shows that the average person spends over 5 hours a day on their phone. And every time a push notification appears, the brain gets interrupted. Every app icon becomes an unanswered question. The more tools you have, the more your attention gets scattered. The Japanese don't live like that. They reduce daily decisions to preserve mental energy for what truly matters. Simple meals, repetitive but nourishing. A wardrobe of neutral colors and basic designs. A modest set of cleaning tools, not dozens of complicated bottles. They live as if every step must be light, in their hands and in their minds. The greatest complexity now doesn't lie in the physical, but in the digital. A phone with dozens of apps is a doorway to countless streams of information. Every unread email, every silent group chat, every friend request. Each is a quiet question, waiting for your response. But the more you respond, the more direction you lose. Imagine this. Each morning, you wake not to the light of the sun, but to the light of a screen. The day hasn't begun, yet. You're already pulled into the demands of others. That is not how a day of intention begins. The Japanese create decision-free spaces, like the Genkan, the entryway where you remove your shoes before stepping into stillness. They dedicate the first moments of the day to no information, no decisions, no reactions, just presence. From there, every action throughout the day begins with a clearer, lighter, more energized state of mind. To apply this spirit, you don't need to change much. Just begin with one act. Purify your process. Look at the habits that consume the most energy in your day. It could be an overly complicated breakfast routine, checking social media right after waking up, or using too many tools to plan your work. Ask yourself, how many steps can I cut while keeping the same quality? A 10-step plan can become 3. A 5-ingredient breakfast can become 2. You can also create no decision zones in your day. For the first 30 minutes in the morning, you decide nothing. No internet, no messages, just breathing, drinking a warm glass of water, or writing a few lines in a journal. Simplicity doesn't mean having less. It means being more intentional. When you simplify what doesn't matter, you return to your self-focus, clarity, and a gentler flow of life energy. And then you'll realize peace doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from letting go of what tangles you every day. We've just walked together through 5 steps to lighten not only your home, but also your mind. From letting go of the just-in-case items, those quiet embodiments of fear about the future, to reclaiming the empty spaces that have been taken over so they can return to their true purpose, not to be filled, but to breathe. From accepting that you don't need to be perfect, only consistent, a little each day, to recognizing the soulless objects that block the emotional flow within your living space. And finally, to learning how to simplify your habits, to preserve the most precious resource we're all running out of, mental energy. None of this is a cleaning trick. It's a philosophy, a way of living consciously. Minimalism doesn't end when you fold the last shirt or wipe the windowsill clean. It begins again every day, in every small choice. What you choose to keep, what you choose to release, and how you choose to live with what remains, with gratitude. You don't have to change your entire life to start. You just have to start. Maybe by looking at one object and asking, do I still need this? Maybe by giving yourself 5 minutes each morning without touching your phone. Maybe by tidying one drawer, or simply by breathing slower and realizing you want to live differently, lighter, clearer. Take a look around the space you're in. Which of the 5 has been quietly exhausting you the most? Is it the meaningless objects, the complicated habits, the expectation of perfection? Write down what you'll begin today and share it in the comments. One small action from you might be the gentle signal someone else needs to begin their own change. You deserve to live in a space built with intention. You deserve to breathe within a peaceful mind. Transformation doesn't need to rush, but it can begin right now with the smallest choice. If this video touched something within you, hit subscribe so we can meet again. In the pauses, in the lessons of slow living, in the quiet journeys of minimalism, where you can return to yourself gently.